Hi everyone, this is Johnny.
And this is Wade.
And welcome to FUNDAY Chat.
Yes, we are back.
And today we're going to talk about the topic of, recently there was news about a brother and a sister. They have a hectic schedule at school. But even after school, their mother also squeeze a lot into their already hectic schedule. For example, they have to go to after-school cram schools to learn piano. And learn English.
Everyone learns piano.
They have to learn quite a lot different talent classes.
All right, besides piano, what else?
English.
English. We all learn English.
And what else? I think maybe the abacus math.
Oh, yeah, do they still learn those?
Yeah, I think that's very popular in Taiwan.
That was actually something that I learned when I was very young. And we didn't, I think it was useful to a certain extent, but nowadays you have the phone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just plug in the
you got a point there, because recently there was also a survey about what are the 10 most useless talents.
Useless talents.
Useless talents.
Useless, okay.
And I think the abacus calculation is on top of that.
Really?
Yeah, okay.
Because honestly, nowadays, like with technology, everything is like calculated for you. So it's good to do quick math, but I don't think it's practical anymore.
Yeah, so go back to the brother and sister.
Yeah, tell us more about them.
They even have to eat in the car in the evening and doing the homework. I think the most incredible thing is that they have to do their homework in the car and eating dinner at the same time. So they can have time to take the classes,
other activities
later. And
that's extreme.
After they get home at around 10 o'clock, they still have to practice playing the piano.
Wow.
And English.
Okay, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
Because I was like, an average child in Taiwan, I would assume, most of us, because I also grew up here, so I also had my childhood education here.
Yeah.
And most of us, I would say, had to do some extracurricular activity, which is like maybe sometimes you study music, and I studied the guitar. And then you would also learn maybe, extra math. So I did like abacus. But outside of that, I think that's like already a lot. Because like, what time does a typical Taiwanese child finish their schooling? Usually around like 4, right?
Yeah.
So like by the time you're done, you still have to do these extracurricular activities, and then you still have to take into account you have homework, and then you try to squeeze in time for food. When do you rest? That's like the crazy part.
I think the very fact that they have to take so many different classes, it hinges on the fact that nowadays our channel for getting into a college or a high school has been diversified. You can get into a college through different kinds of channels.
Sure.
And they will take a look at your different kinds of qualifications. That's the reason why based on that, a lot of parents, they are pushy right from the beginning. They push their kids to take more classes. When they're a child.
Yeah, and I would say that's very much an Asian type mentality. Because today I think we'd like to discuss some of the differences, right?
Yeah.
Some of the Asian mindset versus the Western mindset, and how they sort of contrast each other.
Okay.
I think it's quite a big difference in the terms of our approach to education.
Yeah, so you are in both worlds.
I am in both worlds.
You are in position
I do have,
to talk about this, right?
Yeah, one foot in each culture.
Do you think you are a successful end product?
I would say successful enough, because I wouldn't say I'm the best student.
You have your fair share of success.
I have my fair share of success. I would say I'm more well-rounded.
Okay, yeah. Well-rounded.
I'm not necessarily...
And well-traveled.
Well-traveled.
You just came back from China and Japan.
Yeah. I'm very well-traveled. And I would say, traveling, it helps because it helps you to understand the different culture. And again, growing up with two different cultures, that allowed me to also sort of experience and have a better perspective on like what it looks like when it comes to maybe different education systems and what their products look like.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, Johnny, you represent the Taiwanese side of things, right? And the Asian culture and education.
The cram school and, the knowledge being crammed into students. I think I'm quite familiar with that.
Yeah. So tell us more about it, because I know between us two, there's still a little bit of an age gap, right? So I don't know what it's like back in the day when the education system, if it was the exact same as today, or because you have kids, right?
Yeah, I have
So
kids.
you know
I'm
the
a father
difference
of two.
between your children's education versus your days. Like, has that changed a lot?
Actually, when I was in junior high and senior high school, at
Yeah,
that
what year
time-
was that?
Oh, maybe 20 years ago, 40 years ago.
Okay.
I forgot.
Yeah.
The teacher focused and they emphasized more on the facts memorizing.
Memorization.
Yeah, memorization to memorize the facts, and like for example, like when did the war take place, or the location.
Okay.
Even we have to memorize the names of the trail in China.
Yeah.
Like 金广铁路. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of train trails that
Yeah.
We don't know anything about.
It's funny that you mentioned this because, again, I've just come back from China, and I do see that the cultural aspect, the difference a little bit, what I admire about them, I think that somehow they try to make sure that you don't lose your entire history. And so, yeah, maybe back in the days, it was emphasized that children have to remember where they come from.
Exactly. I think they also incorporate the idea into their English learning. For example, they emphasize the importance of learning English based on their material written by themselves.
Right.
Maybe about 西游记.
Oh, okay.
Or things like that. About Chinese history.
So not necessarily modern stuff, but more old school, but still learning that in English.
Exactly, because a lot of people, after they learn English, after they master the foreign language, they turn into a banana, like white on the
inside, yellow on the outside.
Right.
That's an interesting description.
Okay. Yeah, that's one point of view. And another, I would like to bring about the importance of, the talent, because, there is a household name in Taiwan called J-Jo.
Oh yeah.
And
we know him.
he also has perfected his skills of the piano playing.
Yes.
And he was very
Brilliant.
grateful to his mother for
听妈妈的话.
对, because his mom just pushed him to practice playing the piano all the time. And
When he was young, yeah.
he was quite grateful to her about that.
Yeah, the song 听妈妈的话, he says, right, like when he was a kid, he was forced to do these things, but when he grew up, he could understand why. And sometimes I think that is, what parenting looked like.
So
right?
So I think, children, they really have to find their core value, their intrinsic interest in something. And maybe in the future, they can sharpen their skill and become, to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, so everything that we've talked about here, I feel like, there's the good side and the bad side. Because I'd say the pro side is that you have cases like J-Jo, right? That's sort of like been put into the situation where the mom knew that it was going to be hard, but she wanted the best for him. So she gave him an opportunity to really dive into it. And I'm sure, coming back to the story of the two children that's going through this crazy schedule, some people will say that's like really extreme, and I think it is to a certain extent. But honestly, for their long run, for their future, it does look like they would be ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah.
Because they would have all these other things that they learn and they might know, and that might help them for the future.
Yeah,
that's
and
definitely benefit.
You really have to, hand it to their mom, because for a mom to become so consistent in pushing them day in, day out, I think that's quite a feat.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour, 24/7 job.
Being a parent, I know that it's very difficult for you to be a slave driver, to breathe down their necks all the time.
Yeah.
To a certain point, you will give up on that. Like for your dad, right?
like you. Did you give up on your children?
Okay. Yeah.
No, but
So your dad didn't give up on you, oh?
No, of course not. Of course not. I didn't give him a reason to.
Good dad.
But I would say, so this is the positive side of having a parent that's very dedicated. But I would say to strike the balance with that, I would have to counter the point in saying, when I did move to South Africa and I also had some education done in the States, you could see that at certain focus, you have to put it on education, and that's important. But at the same time, there had to be this balance of also having to understand like what is the right balance to when it comes to schooling stuff, and then at the same time, what is the balance of enjoying life as well?
Exactly. I think people in Taiwan do not know how to strike a balance between life and work.
Right.
A lot of people, you just want to study hard and work hard, but we tend to like postpone or to delay enjoying our lives.
Right. It's funny because I think many of us, even when we were young, we look at the next stage and we're like, oh, when I get to this stage, I'll be happy. So when we were kids, we were like, oh, let me make it to high school. And then when we get to high school, we're like, oh, let me make it to college, then by myself. And then when we get to college, we're like, oh, when I get my first job. And it's just always looking forward for that next stage. And I think what's so important is really when you look back at life, and both of us have some life experience, I would say it really is about focusing on the moment and the stage that you're in right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think, our parents, they kind of like instilled in the concept into us, you can enjoy that later.
Right.
Maybe you can enjoy traveling later after you accomplish something.
Yeah.
So we kind of like, didn't know how to enjoy
strike the
life.
balance. Yeah, strike the balance, because there is a thing about delayed gratification, right? You know the marshmallow test?
Yeah, actually, we put that to fine art. Put that down to fine art.
Yeah, you know the marshmallow test where they basically, they give a child one marshmallow and they tell the child, you can have this marshmallow now, but if you wait, I will go out, and when I come back, I'll give you 2. And they did this test, and you'll see majority of the kids actually cannot help themselves. They consume the marshmallow right away, right?
Yeah.
There's an urge in us that like we see something that we want.
So if you were in that situation, will you?
I don't know.
For that?
I want to say that I would wait because delayed gratification actually, there are benefits to our life because that means we have self-control. But at the same time, I don't know. I was never put to the test. But when I have kids, I'll test them out and see what it's like. But I think, again, the balance, the important aspect where you do try to instill, where you have to enjoy your life. And you also want to make sure that you're working hard right now. Because if you do work hard now, you see the case like J-Jo, he gets to enjoy the success and all the accolades that he does have now because he put in the work when he was younger.
So I think the important thing is that for those kids, they can go to different like talent classes. The main purpose of that is that to find out their real interest in real passion,
That's a key
deep
point.
passion in something, so
Exactly,
that they
exactly.
can develop in the future.
Yeah. I don't think we should force kids to be like, you have to do this. And again, every parent will have their parenting style. I'm not a parent yet, so I can't say much to it. But I want to say,
what is your like the talent class that you attended when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I did guitar,
and
then I did also learn the abacus. And
so which one is your favorite and you think is still useful nowadays?
I think I'm very grateful that I learned an instrument, because I think instrument is a way of expressing who you are.
Instrument, right.
Certainly like learning piano, guitar, violin, like many people learn different instruments. I think it's a great way to express who you are. But again, it comes down to not because I was forced to do it and I have to do it, because certain people, it actually backfires, right?
You did all the practice on your own initiative.
Obviously, not always out of discipline, but over time, when my parents told me and then when I started to enjoy it more, I was like, oh, this actually does help. I do enjoy playing music. It does have a different way of expressing who I am. And also, when you get older and you actually know how to play, then sometimes, you're in a crowded group, a guitar comes out and you can just be like, I got this. And, you can kind of, what's the word? You can
it can be a show off.
Not a show off.
It can be the center of the attention. I think that's why we want to push our kids to learn something by helping them find out what is their strong suit.
Yeah.
And they can derive a lot of pleasure and sense of achievement from.
Yeah, because like all these extracurricular activities, I do believe that they are useful, right? I don't think the parents are sending them to be like, oh, go learn this useless skill. Overall, whatever they learn, it'll be useful for them. But it just really does matter if they have that interest. And I think if early on you can sense that your child is not really engaging in this, maybe it's best to, because again, I trust most parents, and maybe I'll even do this myself, is we put our expectation on our children.
Yeah.
We might be like, well, I never had this, so I want you to have it. But sometimes maybe that's not even what the kid wants, right? So there's an important aspect of knowing what does the kid want versus what I know is good for them. There's, again, that balance.
Yeah, exactly. If they can be self-motivated, it's easier for them to, keep practicing until they master the skill.
Right. And before they get there, probably it is a parent's role to make sure that we're guiding them. So I think that mom, if in the right spirit, is guiding the children to move towards things because she knows that she wants the child to have the best possible chance for their future.
Exactly.
So again, to contrast that though, make sure to find the balance too, because they also do need rest. Childhood flies by. And when you're a kid, you don't even realize what's happening. You know, the years just go by. So you really want to cherish your childhood and your moments. So yeah, I think for me, coming from the Western side of mindset, I appreciate that I had this balance, you know, being able to sometimes just enjoy a hangout with some friends, contrast to just only doing schoolwork. So
Yeah.
it's important to find the balance in that.
I think that's a good thing. You know, you can find a balance. You can strike a balance between work and life. That's the gist of our talk. And also, you can like keep practice. You never give up. I think that's also one lesson that we want to convey to get across to our audience.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's about it for today's topic. Have a good time with talking with you.
Yeah. You too.
All right. So see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.